Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to be learning how to divide fractions using manipulatives. So we're just going to start off here with, remember, this is equal to 1. This is 1/2 because 2 of these fit into the whole. This is 1/3 because 3 of these fit into the whole. And fourth, this is 1/4 because 4 of those fit in, 1/6 because 6 fit in, and 1/12 because 12 fit in or make up that whole. So before we start division, we have to talk about what does division mean? So if I say 6 divided by 2, that kind of means how many times does 2 go into 6, right? 6 divided by 2, how many times does 2 go into 6? Well, it goes in 3 times. We could fit 3 2's into 6. So we're going to look at that when we start thinking about division. So here, let's look at my first one. We have 1/3 divided by 1/12. So we want to know how many of these 1/12ths fit into 1/3. So let's look at this, because that's essentially what division means, is how many times something fits in this. So we have 1/12, and we want to know how many of these go in there. Well, I take a look at this here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 12ths fit into this 1/3. Kind of did that already with our adding and subtracting some of those videos. So this is equal to 4. Okay? Let's take a look at my next one. For this one here, we want to know, we have 3/4. So remember, these are quarters, so I want 3 of these. And we want to know how many times half goes into 3/4. So here's my 3/4. And I want to know how many times half goes into 3/4. Well, here's a half, right? So 1 goes in. 1 and a bit more. Well, I look at this one, I could only fit half of this in there. So we pretty much have 1/2. So my answer here is equal to 1 and 1/2. All right? Now we look at this here, how does this fit in? 1/2. So another word of looking at this, 1/2, that's the same thing. If I made that into improper, that would be the exact same thing as 3/2, right? So you might want to keep a look at this part here. And this is also the same thing as 6/4. Okay, we'll get to that a bit later. There's a reason why I put it that way. So let's look at my next one. Here we have 1/2 and 1/3. So I have a half divided by 1/3. So we have this half, and I want to know how many of these thirds can go in there. So I look, I know 1/3 could definitely go in there, right? But we have a bit more. If I look at this, take another third, not a full one could go in, but, mind that, we have half of a third can go in. Okay? So 1/2 thirds. So this is the same as 1 and 1/2 altogether. 1/2 thirds could go in. Well, what is a half third? So that's like saying 3 halves. Okay? And a half a third is like a sixth. So that's like saying altogether we have 3 halves, or we could say 4/6, something like that. Okay? So 3 halves fit in. All right, let's take a look at this next one here. We have 1/4, and I want to divide 1/4 by 1/3. So I look at this straight from the beginning. Can a full quarter go in? No. Or if the third cannot fit into a quarter, can it? So only only a portion of the third can fit in. So let's break down this third. Let's see how much of it can. If I go like this, here we go. I'm going to get it eventually. Go there, and then there, and then there. So if I look at this, about this much of the third goes into the quarter, right? So we're missing one of these, aren't we? Now, so pretty much if we think about that, this makes fourths. We divide this shape into fours. So we have 3/4 of the third fits into 1/4. 3/4 of this third fits into 1/4. There's only this piece here that does not fit into the 1/4. So we have 3/4 of the third fits into 1/4. So that is my answer, which gives me 3/4. All right? Okay, last question. We want 1/3 divided by 1/4. So we have 1/3 and want to divide it by 1/4. Okay? So let's take a look at this one here. So this could fit in once, and we have a little bit left over. Well, we have this much left over, and this, I'll let you see that. So we have that much left over. We have that purple. Well, this purple is essentially 1/3 of this. So we have a whole quarter fits in, and we have 1/3 of the quarter to fit in as well. So this is equal to 1 whole and 1/3, which if we were to put this to improper is the same as 4/3. Okay? I'm going to give you guys one more here. I'm going to look at 1/3, and I want to know how many times does 1/2 fit into it. Okay, so here is 1/3. I want to know how many times does this half fit into it. So we look at this here. This half fits in quite a bit, but we still have this shape missing. Okay, so we have not even the full amount. So I look at it, we have this much of the half fitting in, and there is one left that doesn't fit in. So altogether we have 2/3 of this half fits into 1/3. Do we get that? So there we go. This blue represents how much fits in. That is those two there, because that's what's not fitting in. So 2/3 of the half fits in. Now, let's see what we are doing here, and what does this mean? So if we take a look at this, these are the questions we did. We did 1/3 divided by 1/12 is equal to 4. Now, in what way can we rearrange this so we get 4? Okay, look at those numbers. Let's take a look at the next one. And I always put this improper fraction first, and I put that one first for a reason. So here we have 3/4 divided by 1/2 is equal to 6/4. How do I get that now? Okay. Let's take a look at this one here. We have 1/2 divided by 1/3. So we want to know how many times those fit in there. We start looking at this and we see a pattern. So if I was to rearrange this, so 1/3 divided by 1/12. Okay, so what if I instead went 1/3 multiplied by 12/1. So I change the sign from division to a multiplication, and then I take the reciprocal. That's the same thing as 1 times 12 divided by 3 times 1. So that's the same as 12/3, which is equal to 4. Let's take a look at this next one. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing again. I look at this 4. How do I get 4? Well, 4 times 1 is 4. How do I get 6? 3 times 2 is 6. So that's the same thing again as 3/4 multiplied, we change the sign to a multiplication, 2/1, which gives me 6/4, which is the same thing as 3 over 2, which is the same thing as 1 and 1/2. Alright, let's look at this next one here. Let's follow the same thing. So we're going to start off at 1 over 2. Okay, try this little rule again, times, and we take the reciprocal, change the division to a multiplication, and take the reciprocal of the second one. That's going to give me 3 over 1. That's equal to 3 over 2. Hey, that's the exact same answer we got when we did the manipulatives, which is the same as 1 and 1 over 2. Okay, this next one here, let's go over this again. I have actually a saying for this. Leavey-samey, changey-wangey, uppy-downy. So we leave the first one the same, change the sign, changey-wangey, and then uppy goes downy. So 1 times 3 is 3, 4 times 1 is 4, and that's the exact same answer we got when we used the manipulatives. Let's try this next one here. Once again, leavey-samey, changey-wangey, and then uppy-downy. Okay? 1 times 3 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. Hey, that's the exact same answer we got, and when we simplify it, that's the same as 1 and 1/3. So the whole idea here is division and multiplication are very similar. Okay? For division, all we have to do is take the division sentence and make it a multiplication sentence. And how we do that is by leaving the first one the same, changing the sign to multiplication, and then taking the reciprocal of our next part. So basically it is leavey-samey, changey-wangey, uppy-downy.